Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Krishna Rakshatu no Jagatraya Guruhu. Krishnam Namasyamyaham. Krishne Namarasitravo Vinihataha. Krishnaya Tasmai Namaha. Krishnadeva Samuthitam Jagadidam. Krishnasya Dasosmyaham. Krishne Tisthati Sarvametadakhilam. He Krishna Samrakshamam. Jai Srimanarayana. Today we'll start with Sloka 64 in Chapter 2. Start sharing the screen. Can you see the screen? Sloka?
Yes.
Okay. Please repeat after me. Ragadvesha viyuktaistu
Ragadveshaviyuktaistu
Vishayanindriyaischaran
Vishayanindriyaischaran
Atmavasyairvidheyatma
Atmavasyairvidheyatma
Prasadammadhigacchati.
Prasadammadhigacchati.
Let's chant together.
Ragadveshaviyuktaistu
Vishayanindriyaischaran
Atmavasyairvidheyatma Prasadammadhigacchati.
The Lord Krishna is continuing. So in the previous sloka, Lord Krishna talked about how we start with a simple thing like contemplating, thinking about the vishayas, that is the sense objects. Just it seems so harmless. We just start thinking about them, and it doesn't. There's nothing wrong in thinking like that. Thinking about them. This is the way of life. That is how we start with. Slowly, he went through the process. So, after we start contemplating about the sense objects, then we get attached to them. And from the attachment, we get the desire to either get what we want or to protect what we have, or make sure that we keep away from what we don't like. So that is a desire. So those desires arise, and then from the desires, if the desires are not met, then it turns into anger. From anger comes delusion, and from delusion, comes forgetfulness. Like we simply forget why we are here. Who am I? What we have to do? Everything we forget, and we forget our duties, what we are supposed to do, and do something that is totally not appropriate for us, right? We do something that is not good for us, good for the Atma. So that forgetfulness comes, and from that forgetfulness, we lose the equanimity, we lose our mental balance, and when we lose the mental balance, we are totally ruined. Our goal is totally ruined. We will not achieve our goal, and we will basically rotate in this cycle of births and deaths, right? In the samsara, we'll keep continuing. So after giving that, Lord Krishna is saying, tu. So, but. So now, so shifting the logic, right? So what he's saying, to Vishayan Charan. Vishayan is sense objects. Okay, Vishayan Charan experiences sense objects. Okay, who is experiencing sense objects? Okay, and how they are experiencing sense objects comes next. Raga Dvesha Viyuktaihi Atmavasyaihi Indriyaihi. So typically, we are experiencing sense objects with our senses, right? So Indriyaihi. What kind of Indriya is Indriyaihi? Lord Krishna is saying Atmavasyaihi Indriyaihi. The senses which are under our control. See here, Atma Vasyaihi. Atma refers to mind. Okay, so Atma Vasyaihi, the senses which are under control of the mind. Okay, Raga Dvesha Vimuktaihi. Again, the senses which are free from raga and dvesha. Raga is attraction, dvesha is aversion. So aihi comes means it is either by or with, the tritiya vibhakti. So raga dvesha vimuktaihi atmavasyaihi indriyaihi. That means with the senses, and the qualified the senses by saying the senses which are raga dvesha vimuktaihi and atmavasyaihi, which are free from attraction and aversion, and and the senses which are under self-control or under the control of the mind. So with that senses, Vishayancharan experiences the sense objects. Now, when you experience the sense objects with that kind of senses which are under control, how do you experience them? Do you experience them with attachment or with indifference?
Indifference.
Indifference, right? So you're neither attracted nor hating. You do not have attraction or hatred. So basically you experience whatever experiences that you have to go through, you will experience that with indifference. Or in other words, you will experience them, the sense objects, but those sense objects will not affect the self, will not affect us. As a matter of fact, like that we will experience, because we have to experience. Okay, so it is not like we will hate it. This is very important. Like when we think that, sarva sangha parityagi and sannyasi, then suddenly we, let's say we have to travel in a luxury car or a luxury jet. Don't hate it. We should just go through it like any other experience. If instead of a very luxury car, maybe some old junk car is there, that's also fine. Just experience. So it is with indifference. I think this is where the people they get kind of, people who do not know these concepts, right? They will think, oh, when the sannyasi means sannyasis should never experience something really positive. It doesn't say that. Sannyasi doesn't mean that they have to hate, hate all the good experiences. No. Every experience is with indifference only. Okay. So if it happens, we don't run after them, but when they come for us, we don't get affected by them. We don't get attracted to them. We don't get attached to them. So that is experiencing sense objects with indifference. Now, so raga dvesha vimuktaihi vishayan indriyascharan atmavasyaihi. Till that point we have completed. Vidheyatma. Vidheyatma is, vidheya means obedient, atma is self. So one who one who has obedient self. Again, here Atma means mind. Okay, so when we talk about the self, it is like the mind, right? So one who has obedient mind means one who has disciplined mind. So Vidheyatma is one who has disciplined mind, or mind that is under control. Mind that is under control means mind that is not controlled by the senses, right? So already in the previous line, Lord Krishna said, Atma Vasyaihi Indriyaihi. So Indriyas are under the control of mind. So Vidheyatma here is mind that is not under the control of the senses, mind that is disciplined. Okay, for that one, okay, one who has the obedient self, or one who has a disciplined mind, prasadam adhigacchati, attains tranquility. Prasadam is tranquility of the mind. Okay, tranquility is purity, calmness, without disturbances. So when one is having senses under control of the mind, and they're they're free from the attractions and aversions, they experience the sense objects with indifference, without getting affected by the sense objects. That one who has a disciplined mind attains tranquility of mind, purity of mind, mental balance.
Professor, Vishayan Indriya, one more time. Can you just please explain one more time? Vishayan Indriya is Charan.
Vishayan Charan. Indriya is, you have to separate out. Okay. So, I mean, greatness of Sanskrit is that even if you place the words in a different order, the meaning doesn't change. Okay. So, Vishayan Charan, Ragadvesha Vimuktaihi, Atmavasyaihi, Indriyaihi. So, if one who has these senses that are free from the attraction and aversion, one whose senses are under the control of the mind, with those senses one experiences Vishyan Charan, one who experiences the sense objects with indifference, discarding the effect of those senses on the self. Vidheyatma, that one with a disciplined mind, prasadam adhigacchati, attains tranquility of the mind.
Thank you, sir.
So here, how do we get the senses under control?
By controlling
So that
them.
is the starting point, right? Senses have to be under the control of the mind.
Don't get attached to
Thinking about Krishna, God.
Yes. Yeah. Sloka 61 is talking about that. When mind is fixed on me, he said, when mind is fixed on me, then mind is freed from attachment to the sense objects. Then it is freed from the, the mind is going to be freed from the clutches of the sense objects. No, senses. So senses are experiencing sense objects. Typically, these senses are so powerful that they take over the mind. So Lord Krishna in Sloka 61 said, focus the mind on me, fix the mind on me. Then the senses will not affect you. Senses will not, your mind will be released from the clutches of the senses. Okay. So when that happens, then we experience the sense objects with indifference, free from attraction and aversion. Okay. then the senses come under control. Then, once we are starting to experience, the sense objects with indifference, with senses under control, mind becomes disciplined, right? Mind will listen to us. See, discipline is basically, it does not run away because of the senses, right? Run away in the sense, if senses are experiencing all the sense objects in the world, they will take the mind in all different directions if we keep the mind under their control. So mind loses discipline. Mind loses its focus. Mind doesn't focus on what is the right thing to do, right? I mean, that's what is when we say the mind does not have any discipline. So mind has a discipline when it is focused on a goal. It creates a plan for, typically when somebody is disciplined, they create a plan, they go through that without any distractions, disturbances. So mind will also be like, okay, my goal is this. I need to perform nishkama karma. I need to focus on Paramatma. I need to. So that is a discipline. It will not be affected by things that happen, outside, because now the mind is not under the control of senses, so it can follow its own, routine, its own whatever it wants to do. Obviously, mind, when it is not under the control of senses, it wants to focus on Paramatma, and the goal is nishkama karma. So perform nishkama karma, and supported by jnana. So, so slowly it will, with that, the mind will not have disturbances. Mind attains tranquility, peace, calmness, serenity. So that is the prasadam. Prasadam is that. Okay, any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next sloka, 65. Sloka 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam
Ade sarva dukkhanam
anirasyopajayate
nirasyopajayate
prasanna chetaso hyasu
prasannachetasो hyasu
buddhi paryavatistate.
paryavatiष्ठते.
Let's not together.
Prasade
Prasade
sarva
sarva
dukkhanam
anirasyopajayate
prasannachetasो hyasu
buddhi
paryavatiष्ठते.
Okay, Lord Krishna is saying prasade. So in the previous sloka, Lord Krishna said, when the mind is disciplined, right? When senses are under control, that one attains prasadam, state of tranquility of mind. Okay, so now continuing, prasade. So as mental tranquility is acquired, okay, prasanna chetasaha buddhihi asu paryavatishthate. Okay, so prasanna chetasaha asu buddhi paryavatishthate, that third and fourth lines. So prasanna chetasaha, okay, to that serene minded person, right? Buddhi is wisdom of the self. Asu paryavatishthate is soon gets well established. So prasade, as the mental tranquility is acquired, okay, or after mental tranquility is acquired, as one gains mental tranquility, the to that prasanna chetasaha, serene minded person, again, whose mind is calm, peaceful, balanced, to that person, buddhihi asu paryavatishthate. Buddhi, wisdom of self, is gets well established, right? So they are the ones who get the wisdom soon. They get it in, it's immediately. So it so the first thing is to make sure that senses come under control. See, it starts from there. Once senses are under control, the mind is under control. Now, when mind is disciplined, then the mind tranquility of the mind is attained. So when there's mental balance, tranquility of mind is there. From that, in that state, wisdom of the self will immediately get established. And Lord Krishna is saying, Asya, to him, sarva dukkhanam hanihi upajayate. Destruction of all sorrows takes place. Okay, sarva dukkhanam, all the all the sorrows, hanihi, they destroyed or disappear. So sarva dukkhanam hanihi upajayate, the destruction of all the sorrows occurs. Upajayate is occurs or takes place. Okay, so as mental tranquility is acquired to such a person who has a serene mind, wisdom of self gets well established immediately, and to that person, to him, sarva dukkhanam hanihi upajayate, the destruction of all sorrows will occur or takes place. Right? So basically, this is what we want, right? We want to get rid of all our sorrows. So went through a sequence of steps, Lord Krishna, very clearly went through the steps. And when we have the mental tranquility, get the wisdom of the self, from that our all our sorrows will be destroyed. So here we need to understand that when we say all our sorrows will be destroyed, doesn't talk about the sorrows that physically we are experiencing in this body, right? It doesn't mean that suddenly we get $1.35 billion lottery like 2 days back. That happened, and then suddenly we become the most powerful person, and then everybody will so we'll simply not have any health problems and financial problems, personal problems, we live forever as long as we wish, like Bhishma. It's not that. So we will be freed from this samsara, this cycle of births and deaths. Okay. So it doesn't promise that, suddenly, all comforts will come, because we are basically, starting point is, and when you don't have comforts, you don't get disturbed by it, right? Then how can you have a goal of having, oh, I want comforts, right? Isn't it? So we cross the stage of, whatever is the experience that we are getting, physical, mental experiences that we are getting, don't bother us. Okay, we focus on the self. When that happens, then we come out of this cycle of sorrows, continuous sorrows. Every birth is full of sorrows. So when we reach a stage where we are self-realized, then we come out of the sorrows. That means all our sorrows will be destroyed. That means we do not have to take birth again. But in the meantime, sorry, go ahead.
So please finish off your point.
Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, basically what happens is, whatever was the big problem earlier appears like a small problem, or not even a problem, as we go through this exercise. So indirectly, we will become happy also. Like it, like earlier, a small problem was appearing like a big problem, right? And when we suddenly, during this process, that will not even appear like a problem for us. So the problem is destroyed, right? Indirectly. Or if it was a sorrow earlier for us, that, oh, why don't I have this kind of a car? Why don't I have this kind of a house? Why don't I have this much money? Why don't I have, vacations? Why don't I go on first class on flights? Why don't I have parties? It's like all these are the things that, all the experiences that our senses are craving for. They were giving us sorrows earlier. Slowly, once we are going through it, those will all vanish completely. So indirectly, that also says that our sorrows will be destroyed, our sorrows will disappear. But it doesn't mean that suddenly, we become totally healthy, we become rich and all that. So we need to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I think you kind of answered that. That's what I was about to say. You might have the problems, but still, it won't pinch you, right? I mean, I think compared to what you, right? But they won't bother yourself, Manas, right? I mean, that's why I think you ignore them. I'm sure they'll, because you're in this body, you'll have problems, right? I mean, nothing like that, right? It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfectly said. Yeah. So if it is a physical problem, like a physical pain, body feels it. So at the physical level, we experience it, but it does not affect the mind, manas. So we do not get disturbed by it, whether it is positive experience or negative experience. While we are experiencing it at the physical level, we have either the enjoyment or the pain, because we cannot avoid that. If the body is not like a rock, body has to go through that. So, but there are certain things like we take it to our heart and mind, right? Like we keep thinking of things which are not physical in nature, but we kind of think about it and then get agitated by them, or get excited about them, things like that. Those will all come down because of the mental balance that we have, the tranquility of the mind, because mind will stop thinking about them. So physically, still, yes, we will face, like when we go into the cold at minus 50 degrees centigrade, such a person like experience the sense objects with indifference. It that indifference is at the manas level, not at the physical level. The physical body will pain, definitely pain, but manas is not getting affected by it. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, if not, we'll move to the next sloka. 66. Sloka 66. Nasti buddhirayuktasya
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य
na chayuktasya bhavana
न चायुक्तस्य भावना
na cha bhavayata santihi
न चाभावयत शान्तिः
asantasya kutah sukham.
अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्
Let's together.
नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न चाभावयत शान्तिः अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम्
So Lord Krishna is saying, na asti buddhihi ayuktasya. Okay, buddhi na asti ayuktasya. Buddhi is wisdom of the self. Okay, wisdom of the self, knowledge of Atma, Atma Jnana. So all these are synonymous. Right disposition of the mind to focus on attaining self. Okay, so that is the buddhi. So buddhi is a discriminating power, right? That is so it is the right disposition of the mind to focus on attaining self. That is a buddhi or wisdom of the self. Na asti is not there. For who? Ayuktasya. To whom or to him who is not united or attached to me. Okay, yukta is attachment or united, right? So ayuktasya, to him who is not united to me or attached to me, okay, or not focused on me. Lord Krishna is saying, nacha ayuktasya bhavana. Okay, so ayuktasya, again he's saying ayuktasya. So we have to see, the first is who is the ayuktasya, one who is not attached to me, one who is focused on the sense objects, not on Paramatma, one who is not having the senses under control, so one who does not have the buddhi. Okay, see earlier what he said, you get the buddhi, right? Well, when you have the senses under control, mind is under control, disciplined mind, you will get the buddhi. But If you don't get yourself fixed on me, then buddhi will not be there. So wisdom will not be there. To such a ayuktasya, that means one who does not have the wisdom of the self, bhavana na asti. Okay, the conception of the self is not there. Okay, the meditation of the self, like I don't have the buddhi, then I do not I cannot conceive of the self. I cannot meditate on the self, right? So then Lord Krishna is saying, Nacha abhavayatah santihi. Abhavayatah santihi nasti. So to such a person who does not have the bhavana, abhavayatah, to the one who is not reflecting or meditating on self, that means one who desires for sense objects, not on Paramatma, santihi nasti, peace is not there, or tranquility of the mind is not there. I mean, peace is nothing but tranquility of the mind. I don't have peace means our mind is agitated, right? So when buddhi is not there, you cannot focus on self. When you do not focus on the self or reflect on or meditate on the self, but you reflect on the sense objects, then you do not have the peace. Then asantasya kuta sukham is asking a question. Kutaha, from where? So asantasya kuta sukham, from where comes joy to such one who does not have peace? So one who does not have peace obviously does not have joy. So from where comes joy? So it's like a way of saying that if peace is not there, then there won't be any joy. The joy here is not about, again, physical comforts. The joy here is about the permanent happiness, the bliss, eternal bliss that we are talking about. So they will never be able to attain eternal bliss. So he went backwards, like Lord Krishna went backwards and explained that if you do not have the buddhi, then you will not get the eternal bliss. So here, basically, the focus is starting with the senses. Our senses are, let us say, not controlled. They are running after the sense objects. Then it ruins everything, right? So we start thinking about the sense objects, then it turns into desires, then anger, and all that, right? So when senses are not in our control, then mind will not be in control. If mind is not in control, then buddhi will not come. Okay. So when buddhi is not there, then you cannot focus on the self. You are focusing completely on the objects of senses only. And then you will basically not have peace. Then there won't be any joy for you. Temporary as well as permanent. Temporary, sometimes it doesn't mean that somebody who doesn't have Atma knowledge cannot enjoy. They will be able to enjoy temporarily, but they do not have the permanent peace, permanent happiness. Any questions on this?
So here meditation is another insisting. Dhyana.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, one who is, that's a good point. So one who is not reflecting or meditating on the self will not attain tranquility of the mind.
Here
I
meditation
mean,
is
it is not like, okay, you can, there are two ways of doing it. One is actually meditating, with sitting in a place and then focusing on the self. So that is one. Second is, whatever activity that we are doing, our focus should be on the self, not on the sense objects. Right? So
Right.
when that's also, if we do that, then we are always in the state of meditation. This is a fundamental question that we need to ask. Whenever we are doing any activity, for who, for whom we are doing that activity, why we are doing the activity. Right? That is the most fundamental question. Typically, what we are, used to is, okay, basically, does it, satisfy my body, my ego, and anything related to my body and ego? That is how we always think, right? I mean, how much money am I getting? How much praise I'm getting? Or my ego is getting satisfied. Any activity that we do, even like when we are interacting with others, always, or if we are at that level of the body, then we will not be in this state. If we are always reflecting on self, always focused on self, then certain things that we are doing doesn't, we will not be doing them.
Which I guess also implies that, when it's a subtle sort of meaning that, you're trying to focus on me, but basically it also implies that what you do is go ahead and do your duty toward your family, towards your job and things like that. Basically, those are different forms of Krishna himself, I guess. That's what he's trying to say, right? It's not that when we say think about me means, what you do is just do puja part and not your duties
Right.
of the world, right?
Yeah. So yeah. United or attached or focused on me does not mean that you just sit somewhere and then pray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Got
It is always, the reason why I said activity is, whatever activity that we do, to why are we doing it? To please who? Who is this for? Who gets enjoyment with this?
Wife and family, right? That's what I think we mean.
Yeah. Either ourselves, means that body, or our own enjoyment, for that we do. Or next is family. Next, our close friends, and then society, religion, country. So it is always like revolving around, from that aspect only. It is, we never think of this, any activity that I do is for his pleasure.
That he's is Bhagavan you're talking about.
Yeah, Bhagwan. It's not even about self anymore. So we see Paramatma everywhere. So if I'm doing a job, it is for his pleasure I'm doing it. We should think that way. Now, if let us say we are doing something which is not prescribed, like we are harming somebody, let us say, right? The question is it going to please Paramatma? No. So don't do that. Okay. So automatically we will, again, later chapters, Lord Krishna clearly said what he loves, what he, what kind of a person he likes. That kind of a, knowledge is given to us. I mean, what pleases him, he gave. Okay. So we try to do things which are pleasing to him and don't do things which are not pleasing to him. That itself is our duty. There are, duties that come with our, place in the society or age, or place in the family. So those are certain duties that we get. We need to do that. We have to take care of our own body. We cannot say, I cannot earn money for, because I don't see Paramatma there. It's not that I can say that because I have to take care of the body. So, but taking care of the body is to please him who is within me. So taking care of somebody is to please him who is within that. So again, so any activity that we do, the question is it is it pleasing him? It is for his pleasure we are doing it. So then we do it as service to him. Serve all beings as service to God. Sri Swamiji has given us the message. This is a fundamental principle of Bhagavad Gita. But it's difficult. It's difficult. It is not easy. So it's not that it is possible, but we are not doing it. It is difficult because of all the karmic bondage that we are carrying. So again, surrendering to Paramatma, focusing on him continuously. Slowly we'll we will come out of the clutches of these sense objects and the and the effect of sense objects on us. Okay, let's go to the next sloka, 67. Sloka 67. Indriyanam hi charatam
Indriyanam vicharatam
yanmano vidhiyate
yanmano vidhiyate
tadasya harati prajnam
tadasya harati prajnam
vayurnavamivambasi.
Vayunam
vayunamvamvasi
vivasi
indriyanam vicharatam
yantamanam
yanmano vidhiyate
vidiyate
tadasya
tadasya harati
prajnam
pragyam vayunamam
vayunamvamvasi.
vivasi.
So Lord Krishna is saying, Indriyanam vicharatam yat manaha anuvidhiyate. Yat manaha, which mind, anuvidhiyate, closely follows. What does it follow? In charatam indriyanam, of the senses which are engaging in worldly pleasures. Okay, so indriyanam hicharatam yat manaha anuvidhiyate means which mind that closely follows experiences of the senses engaging in worldly pleasures. Okay, so typical mind. Tadasya, tat asya, tat means that, but here that refers to manas. So that manas or mind, asya, of that person, prajnam harati prajnam, carries away the wisdom. Prajna is wisdom of Atma or buddhi, buddhi that leads to understanding of the self. Okay, so one word is wisdom. Wisdom, you have to understand wisdom of Atma there. So carries away the wisdom. Like what? Vayuhu navam ambhasi harati iva. Like wind carries away a ship in water, in a sea. Okay, so a very good example that Lord Krishna gave us. So the mind gets carried away from one place to another place by the wind. I mean, like a ship in water that is carried away by the wind. So it's like senses. Imagine 5 senses are like winds all around the mind. Each sense is blowing the mind in its own direction, basically. So our mind goes from one direction to another direction to another direction, like with no stopping. So what happens when if let us say a ship is there in the middle of the sea and then there's huge wind blowing in all directions? It will not stay steady, right? I mean, it will we cannot go in a particular direction. It goes in whatever direction the wind blows, right? So same way, when my mind is following the experiences of the senses which are engaged in this world of sensory pleasures. So when mind is following the senses, then mind is carried away by the senses in whatever direction. Okay, so I mean, my mind is carried away. In effect, the buddhi is carried away. Like so, basically, mind cannot be controlled with the buddhi. Okay, so the buddhi is also carried away. So with that, buddhi now focuses on experiencing the sensory pleasures. That's it. Not on the wisdom of self. Right? So prajnam harati. Buddhi is lost. Buddhi is carried away.
Yeah, and in this status of mind, the buddhi is carried, not like in general, right? Like, otherwise, buddhi influences.
Yeah, basically buddhi cannot control mind. Mind is carried away. I mean, the senses carry away the mind and buddhi in whichever direction it wants, right? So we are, we'll not be able to control the senses with our manas. Okay, and with that, the buddhi is carried away in all kinds of directions, and there it is basically lost. It loses
Control.
focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it loses focus. It loses the like, even if I know, let us say that I need to focus on the self, I'll not be able to, because it gets carried away. Like the ship knows, okay, where it has to go, but the wind will carry the ship away. Like that, even if buddhi kind of knows that, okay, I need to my goal is this, then it will not be successful. It will be carried away by the senses. So senses affect the mind. Mind carries away the wisdom. It should be the opposite. The buddhi should control the mind. Mind should control the senses. Okay, so what happens if mind follows the senses is what Lord Krishna answered here. Buddhi will be lost. Okay, Sloka 68. Okay, Sloka 68. Please stand. Tasmadyasya mahabaho
Tasmadyasya mahabaho
Nigruhitani sarvasah
nigrahitani sarvasa
Indriyani indriyadebhyah
indriyani
Indriyadebhyah
yadebhyah
Tasya prajna pratisthita.
tasya
tasya
prajna
prajna pratisthita
Tasya
Tasmadyasya
Tasmadyasya
mahabaho
mahabaho
Nigrahitani
Grahitani
sarvasa
sarvasa
Indriyani indre
Indriyadebhyah
arthebhya tasya
tasya
prajna
prajna
pratisthita.
pratisthita.
Okay.
Listening to all this, I'm still wondering how Dhritarashtra, he couldn't change his mind. It's like he's so blind, like mentally blind.
Yeah, probably sleeping at that time.
And for sure, here Sanjaya's his views are not at all there, right? It's just he's just saying as is.
Yes, this is exactly as it happened. Yeah, all the words are spoken by Krishna or Arjuna.
Yeah.
Okay. Tasmat Mahabaho. Tasmat, therefore, Mahabaho, O mighty armed Arjuna, Yasya Indriyani, whose senses, Nigruhitani, whose senses are restricted or withheld. Okay. In the earlier sloka, Lord Krishna said, if the senses are not in control, mind follows the senses. Instead of mind controlling the senses, mind follows the senses, then basically the wisdom is lost. So, therefore, Arjuna, whose senses are restricted or withheld, from where Indriyadebhyaha sarvasaha, in every way, sarvasaha, in every way or by all means, Indriyadebhyaha, from the sense objects, tasya prajna pratisthita, his Atma Jnanam or wisdom is well established or remains secure. So very simple. So whose senses are restricted or withheld in all possible ways from the sense objects. Okay, then wisdom is established. So there's a direct link between senses and buddhi, Atma Jnana or prajna. So if senses are not controlled, then we lose wisdom. Senses are controlled, then we gain wisdom. Wisdom is well established. I mean, wisdom will not be going away in all kinds of directions, just like the ship that goes in the water. So if senses are controlled, then the wisdom is also well established or secure in us, and it will drive us towards our goal. But if wisdom, if senses are not in our control, senses are not restrained, then we lose wisdom. Okay. Let's look at the next sloka, sloka 69. Sloka 69. Ya nisa sarva bhutanam.
Ya nisa sarvabhutanam
Tasyam jagarti samyami.
tasyam jagrati samyami
Yasyam jagrati bhutani.
yasyam jagrati bhutani
Sa nisa pasyato munehe.
sa nisa pasyato mune
Let's chant together. Ya
ya nisa sarvabhutanam
sarvabhutanam
tasyam jagrati
jagarti samyami.
yasyam jagrati bhutani
Bhutani
sa nisa pasyato
pasyato
mune.
munehe. So here Lord Krishna is differentiating between those who are focused on the Atma Jnanam, right? Who are and then those who do not focus on Atma Jnanam, those who focus on the sense objects. So he's saying, Ya nisa sarva bhutanam. Ya, that which. So previous sloka, he's talking about buddhi, right? Tasya prajna pratisthita. So he's talking about prajna, that wisdom. So ya is that which buddhi. Okay, sarva bhutanam nisa. So that is like night. Nisa is night or darkness. Okay. So Nisa sarva bhutanam. night or darkness to sarvabhutanam, to all beings. So that which buddhi, which is night or darkness to all beings, that does not shine, tasyam samyami jagrati. Tasyam, in that buddhi. So we have to be careful here. Let me give a direct meaning and then we go into the detail. So tasyam samyami jagrati is in that buddhi. Samyami is one who has controlled sense organs, one who has controlled senses. Jagrati stays awake. Okay. So that which buddhi, which is like darkness to all other beings, in that buddhi, one who has controlled senses stays awake. Okay. Yasyam, in which buddhi, bhutani jagrati, all beings are staying awake. Sa pasyataha mune nisa. To that muni, muni, munehe, to that muni, pasyataha, who sees, sa nisa, that is darkness. It's a little bit confusing, right? So the buddhi that is like darkness to other beings, that buddhi, in that buddhi, samyami people, the ones who have controlled senses, they are awake. Okay, so that means they are able to see the self. It is like a day for them. So, okay, so other beings who are not focused, they have buddhi towards the sense organs, the buddhi towards the sensory pleasures. Okay, they are not able to see the Atma. So it is like darkness for them. The buddhi that shows the Atma, that is buddhi through which the Atma is visible, is like darkness for them. Okay, let me continue and then I think it'll be clear. So, yasyam bhutani jagrati sa pasyataha mune nisha. So now the opposite. The buddhi, that buddhi of sense objects, or buddhi that is focused on sense objects, in that buddhi which is focused on sense objects, where all beings are staying awake, that buddhi is like night for the munis, those who are focused on the self.
But sir, like I know the context why Krishna is explaining this about buddhi. See, initially this started because Arjuna couldn't fight. Okay, because he was in that attachment to these people and he thought he is doing something. He's harming people and all that. So slowly Krishna is explaining them. And finally it led to Arjuna asking what is Stita Prajna, and he's saying that. But is this implication that whatever Arjuna is going through, he also was having all these things, disturbances? Not at the moment, of course, at the moment is...
Arjuna has a lot of disturbances.
No, if these things look very ordinary, souls, I mean, people, right? I mean, those who are disturbed by very easily for all these things, Vishayandra, Indriya are disturbed by the, surroundings and all that. You think Arjuna also has been for years, he had this kind of Chanchalatvam? I mean, it's a little bit hard to believe that he was that kind of person. But other
So-
things, yeah, is very much convincing, like, why he couldn't fight, because, all the reasons that he gave, then Krishna clarified. So I've been thinking like, okay, because it led to that Sthita Prajna, Krishna was reiterating, hey, Sthita Prajna you should have. That's why he just happened to have explained these things, not exactly because Arjuna is also a person like us.
At least at that stage, Arjuna is not aware of these things.
He's not Sthita Prajna.
He is not aware of this. Whether he's fully aware, but he forgot is one thing, right? Like, let's say we learn Bhagavad Gita, we memorize everything, word to word. And then still, when a situation like Arjuna's
Yeah.
situation comes, do we really remember and
He
practice
stumbled,
this?
yeah.
Doubtful, right?
Yeah.
So is it that situation that Arjuna was aware of this, but he is not able to practice, or he's not even aware? I mean, if we read between the lines, it appears he's not aware at this level. He might be aware a little bit here and there, but that knowledge has been lost. That's why Lord Krishna says this knowledge has been lost over the years. So I'm giving you this knowledge, right? So he kind of knows about Pitru Devatas and all those things, but he's not able to. He doesn't have that clarity in this knowledge. He's confused between Atma and body, and most likely is not even considering Atma when he started talking, right? He's only talking about bodies.
Yeah.
So then Lord Krishna had to start with the concept of Atma. So Arjuna is most likely like us, but he is disciplined, not like a regular person. Is a disciplined person who follows certain principles and things like that. So, but not the principles of Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, he was not fully there. Yeah.
Right. So, like the concept of Atma Jnanam and Atma body and Paramatma. So the differences and all that is not fully aware.
Yeah.
So
the limited knowledge what he has could be blindsided by the raga dvesha or raga, right? I think we already kind of probably. I mean, maybe he has
right. Yeah, a little bit of knowledge may be there, but that is also not so very likely that he doesn't have this knowledge. It's not like he knew it but forgot or not applying. It's not the case. So Lord Krishna is giving this complete package to Arjuna, and then through Arjuna is giving it to us. So there are two types of buddhi here. One is a buddhi that is focused on Atma. The second buddhi is focused on sense objects. There are sarvabhutanam, all other beings who are not having self-control, who are not having the controlled senses. Okay, for them, for them it is darkness. Okay, that they are not able to see the self. See, basically, one is in darkness we cannot see, right? In daylight we can see. So when I have the buddhi, I'm trying to explain it so that we can understand it. If my buddhi is um, uh, is um, um, towards the senses, right? If my mind is running after the sensory objects, then I will not be able to see Atma. So when I'm not able to see Atma, that buddhi that requires me to see the Atma is like darkness for me. I cannot see it. I cannot. So, for all beings, which are not focused on Atma, which don't, which focus on sense objects, okay, the buddhi to get the Atma Jnanam, or buddhi to focus on Atma, does not shine. So it is like darkness. So that is the first statement that he made. So for all beings, the buddhi that is like darkness, that does not shine, that buddhi, which is like darkness to those beings, that buddhi, in that buddhi, the yogis stay awake. So it is visible to the yogis. That buddhi is shining for the yogis. Okay, so basically it wants to differentiate between the. I'm using the word yogi here to say that those who have controlled senses. So one who has controlled senses, their buddhi of getting wisdom, Atma Jnanam, shines. So it is like daytime for them. Okay, they are awake in that buddhi. In that buddhi, the other beings are sleeping. It's like night for them. That buddhi is not visible for them. In opposite, the buddhi in which the other beings are awake, that means they are able to see all the sensory objects, they are experiencing all the sensory pleasures. In that buddhi, or that buddhi is like darkness for the yogis or munis. So the muni, for them, they do not experience that. They do not, for them, that buddhi does not shine. The buddhi of the sensory pleasures, or focusing on sensory pleasures, that does not shine for them. So they are sleeping in it.
Basically, I think for me, the way it's easy to remember is like, for the enlightened person, even the darkness, seems to be light to them, and it's vice versa for the others. So
the darkness here is the buddhi, that gives the Atma Jnanam. So for a normal person, it looks darkness, but the same buddhi appears daytime for the munis, right? It's like daytime for them. Opposite, when it is daytime for regular beings. So, when it is, when a buddhi is shining for a regular person, that buddhi, which is shining for them, means that buddhi is focused on sensory pleasures and, running after the senses. So that buddhi does not shine for munis. So it is like darkness for them. So they cannot. So for them, they kind of imagine this. They are not able to. For them, it is night for them. That means they don't explore that, right? So nighttime they are sleeping, right? So they are not exploring that the running after the sensory pleasures. So basically, whatever there, so these are the two. I mean, the buddhi of Atma Jnanam, okay, is that buddhi is daytime for the munis and nighttime for all other beings. Whatever is daytime for other beings is nighttime for the munis. So when, in other words, when other people are sleeping, the munis are awake, and when munis are sleeping, the other people are awake. Doesn't mean that the munis are always waking up in the night. No, it's not about muni waking up in the night and always awake in the night. It is the buddhi that we are talking about, the buddhi that is like darkness for regular people. That means they are not, for them it doesn't shine. It shines for the munis. So it becomes like a daytime for them. So the buddhi that is shining for ordinary people, which is like a daytime for them, or when they are, it is like they are awake in that buddhi. The same buddhi is like, night is like darkness for the munis. So they do not, that buddhi does not shine for them. They do not run after it. So the buddhi of running after senses is not there or does not shine. Hope that is clear.
Yeah.
Prasad, one quick question. So when a person sleeps, right, his senses are not acting on his manas and buddhi, which is similar to a yogi, right? Or no?
Yeah, I mean, the sleep, state of sleep is a very big theory.
Okay.
Basically, we are with Paramatma at that time. I mean, that's all I can say. It's not
Okay.
something.
I thought that was synonymous to yogis waking up, right? I mean, when.
No.
No, okay.
I mean, sleep and the dreams that we get, there is a lot of in-depth meaning for them. But it is not, it's not part of the Bhagavad Gita, how we can manage our life. Definitely sleep. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, good principles, moderate sleep. Definitely, it's there. One who has moderate sleep, that's what is Lord Krishna is saying we should have. Beyond that, we're all going into the theory of what happens to Atma when body is sleeping and all that is all big theory. That's a separate.
Sure. No, I'm only talking under the context of this specific verse.
Yeah, I mean here the darkness, night or sleep or daytime awake is for our understanding purpose. It's not like when other people are awake and Jnani is sleeping. No, it's not that. When other people are running after sensory pleasure, that means they are awake, right? Like when you are awake, you run after them, isn't it?
Daytime.
So when other people are awake and running after the sensory pleasures, Jnanis will simply keep quiet. Means they are like inactive or sleeping.
They're not affected.
And they're not active.
Yeah.
Is equivalent to sleeping. So when other people are not running after the not running after the Atma Jnanam, so they are sleeping, kind of inactive. They're sleeping in that. And the same thing, the Jnanis are active in that. It is like shining for them. It is daytime for them. It is like, they are awake and going after the whatever is needed for whatever activities need to be done in order to, gain Atma Jnanam or achieve the goal of, self-realization. So in that they are awake. So there are two different things. So one is doing the activities which are related to running after the senses. That's totally in a parallel path or a different path compared to the munis or yogis who are focused on the Atma Jnanam and trying to get self-realization, God realization. So one is their activities do not overlap, kind of. It is driven by two different buddhis altogether. So it is like day and night, So that is what Krishna is saying here. Not like the actual sleeping or awake. Okay.
Yeah, Jason.
Thank you, Jai Sri Narayana. So we'll conclude with the concluding prayer. Thank you so much. Kayena vacha manasendriyarva buddhyatmana va prakrite subhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayati samarpayami. Srimannarayanayati samarpayami. Sarvam Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Om Asmadgurubhyo Namaha. Jai Sri Narayana.
Jai Sri
Jai
Manara.
Shri Manara.
Thank you.
Thank
Jai
you.
Sri Narayana. Thank you so much.
Yes.